Hi, I'm Sean Reynolds, the owner and designated managing broker of Summit Properties Northwest. And this is a quick overview video on the FIRPTA form, that is Form 22E within the Northwest Multiple Listings Service. And this is kind of a complex legal form if you kind of get right down to it. It's a short form in its own, but it has a lot of legal implications. And I'm just going to kind of basically gloss over how to put one together. If you have questions, legal questions regarding this form, be sure to reach out to an attorney. All right, let's jump right into the form. Okay, so FIRPTA, what does that stand for? That stands for the Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act. And that provides that a buyer of a U.S. real property interest must withhold sales tax if the seller is a foreign person, unless one of the exemptions in the Act applies. The following will inform buyer and closing agent whether tax withholding is required. Now that is basically the first paragraph of the FIRPTA form. And then it goes into whether the tax withholding is required if you are a foreign entity. All right, so you can read that section. And then as far as actually filling out the form itself, the seller certifies the following property. I am the seller of the real property at, have the seller fill in the address, the city, the state, the zip. Or if there's no street address, if it is a piece of vacant land, you go ahead and check this box and you legally attach a legal description, legally described on the attached. And that's basically right here. And then go into the citizenship status and you go I am or am not. You have the seller check whether they are or are not a non-resident alien or a foreign corporation, foreign partnership, foreign trust, foreign estate, or other foreign business entity. And this is for the purposes of U.S. income taxation. So if you are, that's when you need to basically fill this out correctly and know that 15% is probably going to be taken out from the sales proceeds to pay taxes. All right, I'm going to uncheck those just to not confuse anything. And then the taxpayer ID number, this is the seller's taxpayer ID number right there, so that escrow can know to credit that taxpayer's ID at the time of closing, because that's where they're going to send the 15% tax payment or whatever the actual tax ends up being. And we'll get to that at the end of the form. Here you put the home address of the seller, address, city, state, and zip. And then you have the seller sign it and date, sign and date, seller number 2. And then this is the buyer certification. So they bring the buyer, they put some onus on the buyer on this form. And this part down here, so this section from up here all the way down to the bottom, this is only applicable if the seller is a non-resident alien. So if you checked the am a non-resident alien, then down here you need to check one of these two boxes. And this is the big note. If the seller is a non-resident alien and has not obtained a release, and I'm reading right here, and has not obtained a release from the IRS, then the closing agent must withhold 15% of the amount realized from the sale and pay it to the IRS. So they're going to take 15% of the gross proceeds and or is it the net, the amount realized from the sale. So that's basically gross, and pay it to the IRS unless buyer certifies that the selected statement below is correct. And check with escrow on whether it's gross or net. I can't remember. And you check this box if you are the buyer and the amount realized is $300,000 or less, and the family residence and it's going to be a family residence for you as the buyer, equals no tax. So there is that option even if the seller is a foreign resident. And here is the criteria here to meet this first box that you can check. And the second box is if the amount is more than $300,000 but not more than $1 million in proceeds from the sale, and it's also a family residence. So this is a secondary criteria that would equal 10% tax. So you've kind of got three options on this form. One is the seller just straight up pays 15%, escrow pays it. or the seller is a non-resident alien and they get a non-resident alien exemption from the IRS. You can have that option, or you can have still be a non-resident or a resident alien and have no tax liability, like in the first option. Or the second option, you can have 10% of the proceeds paid out as tax. So those are kind of the different options that this form lays out. And you want to get either CPA advice or legal advice if you have a seller. If you are a seller, you're looking at filling in this form, or if you're a buyer and you're not sure which one of these options is correct. Check with escrow, check with the CPA, check with an attorney, check with somebody who has some familiarity with this form, because there's quite a few kind of little nuances that this form covers. And I'm just going through kind of broad strokes. Hey, here's the blanks to fill out. All right, and then you as the buyer, sign here, date here, second buyer, second date there. And that is the FIRPTA form. So that's it. Thank you for sticking all the way to the end of this video. Again, I'm Sean Reynolds, the owner and managing broker of Summit Properties Northwest. Love to have you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Here's the Summit difference. We offer an industry-high 80-20 split with absolutely zero fees, a low $10,000 cap, and a free listing video including drone for every single home that Summit Properties Northwest lists. For more information, click on the first link in the description of this video.